Hello and welcome back to the channel Implied Investing. Today we are going to be taking a look at ULTI. But before we hop into that, let me go ahead and give this legal disclaimer that this is not investment advice. I am not an investment professional. This is for entertainment purposes, entertainment and educational purposes only. Before making any financial decision, please seek out a qualified financial advisor. With that out of the way, let's dig into it. Now, ULTI is outside of my comfort limit. Even though I have a couple DGen funds, high yielders, I have blocks in KYLD. ULTI is a what I call a super high yielder. It's above 50% yield. I got a nice PowerPoint presentation lined up, and we'll take a look at how it generates its income and maybe it's something that you should look at. And I'll also talk about whether or not I'm going to be adding it or not adding it to my portfolio. So let's move over to Seeking Alpha right quick so we can take a look at how the chart is performing. So this fund is only 3 months old, and as you can see, it's doing better than nobody. It is doing the worst. ULTI is in orange, and it's down over the past 1 month. It's down 11.6% in total return. If you were just to go to price return, it's down 16.6%. And I'm comparing it to other high yield funds, KYLD and ULTY. ULTY is down 8%, KYLD is down 10%. So total return, um, ULTI is down 11, ULTI is down 11, ULTY is down 3, and KYLD is down 7. But this is nothing compared to its year to date. Year to date is actually doing well. So as you can see, it's up 5.5%, and the other two are down. ULTI is down, ULTY is down 0. That's a little confusing. ULTY is down 0.25, and KYLD is down 2.10. So depending on where you got in with this ETF, you could be in the money and doing pretty well. One thing I'd like to show before we get into things all the way, what is this price of three? Okay, is that ULTY took a huge dip. It when it launched in October, it just dropped. Took a huge dip, took a huge dip. I think it launched at about $25, and now it's trading for about $13. So just be mindful of that. Sometimes it takes funds a little bit of time to get their footing. So maybe they have found it, maybe they haven't found it. But with no further ado, let's jump into the PowerPoint presentation. And this. All right. So as you can see on the screen, it is speculative, very, very high risk. And why? Because it has a yield of 78%. A huge 78%. That is super high. KYLD has a yield of about 34 to 36%. So just so you're aware that this is a brand new fund with an options overlay fund targeting the 20 most volatile US equities. Its 78% headline distribution rate is entirely return of capital. The fund's NAV has eroded 41% in just 3.5 months, producing a deeply negative total return, even including distributions received. The analysis classifies this as very high risk. So this is not a core holding. Not a core holding at all. It has an expense ratio of 1.25 and 19.3 million under assets. Is it going down? Is it going up? Not sure. That right now there's maybe a slightly better time to get in because the price is 13.85 and the NAV, which is the actual value of its holdings, is at 14.69. So if you were going to buy, now is the time to buy. Moving on to our next slide. This is by Rex IncomeMax. I'm sorry, this is by Rex Shares Advisors. If you have a, they are known for income strategies. They have income on single stocks, ETFs. They have income on thematics. That is their thing. They do income. This fund is not benchmarked to any index. It is just taking a concentrated portfolio of the most volatile stocks in the US and writing options on them. and it's only 3.5 months old. So be aware of that before you get into this fund if that's something you plan on doing. And it has a pretty high gross net expense ratio. Okay, so how does the fund work? Here's how we get the money. The fund identifies the 20 most volatile US stocks based on implied volatility. It purchases direct equity positions in each stock. Each one weighs about 5%. That's not necessarily true. It does have some cash holdings above 5%. It sells calls. It writes near the money call options on each position, generating premium but capping upside. It sells puts. It writes puts near the money put options on each position, generating additional premium but amplifying downside. And then it buys wings, which purchases out of the money calls and out of the money puts to limit maximum loss on each leg. And then it distributes. It pays weekly distributions from collected premiums. All right, here are some of its top holdings. AppLovin, which is a technology, Cypher, TerraWolf, Astrolabs, Applied, I can't even pronounce that, Bloom Energy, Applied Digital, uh, Lumenthum Holdings, Red Cat Holdings, US Rare Earths. So the fund is 26% technology and semis, 16% crypto, 15% energy, 10% aerospace, 10% mining, 5% biotech, 5% satellite telecoms, and 10% cash equivalents. And that cash is in a money market account, not a money market account, but it's in T-bills collecting interest. So that is helping them make those weekly payments. Here's a full portfolio listing showing more of their holdings. I think we just looked at the top 10. And here are some of the key metrics. Just keep an eye on that NAV decline. It took a huge hit. Most of that NAV decline was back in October. October, November, December, if you were in the markets, you know it was a wild ride. It wasn't straight up the way it was for most of the year. Now, moving into the income performance. So this fund seeks to distribute 78%. 78% broken down, they need to make 6% monthly. They need to make 6% on $19 million asset under management. They need to make 6% out of that. So the fund requires a 200 and to make $279,000 a week in net options premium to cover its 0.21 share distribution. This translates to roughly 6% monthly premium yield against equity holdings, approximately 5 to 6x what established covered call funds achieve. So your basic covered call fund is doing 1% a month. They are trying to do 6%. Put credit spreads, you can do about 7% and still be safe. But this is if they're not necessarily doing just put credit spreads, they're doing call spreads and put spreads. So it is possible for them to do it. It's not out of the ordinary. It's not impossible for them to be able to make these targets. And we'll see in a second whether or not they're making it. Right now, just off of looking at it, just by eyeballing, it looks like they're not going to be able to make it. It's too high, and as you can see, the NAV is shrinking, so they're probably not making it at first glance. But took a deep dive into their options strategy, and we may be closer than you think. So here's the weekly options income analysis. So they wrote $2 million worth of options. They hedged on 800,000, and these are round numbers. So the net premium value of the options that they took out. So I took their holdings and analyzed those. So the net premium value of the options was 1.383596 million dollars. So that's about 7.38% of NAV. So remember we said that they needed 6% a month, and it looks like as much as they wrote over 7.38%. So they could, if everything works out and none of their strike prices get hit, this could work. So it is built to work. It's not built to fail. It is built to generate the income. It's just whether or not the market is going to cooperate with the strategy that they're using. That is the question. So moving on to the annualized projections and distribution data. Their stated distribution rate, as we said, is 78%. Uh, the implied annual distribution rate. So they need to make $14.7 million. That's $282,000 weekly. Their interest, the cash on the interest only makes $83,000 a year. And the rest is going to have to come from either the options premium or it's going to come from the NAV. So just be aware of that. Now, this options premium is considered 100% ROC as of late, and they have it right there on their website that 100% of your distributions are going to be ROC. More than likely, it's destructive. Just looking at the stock price and looking at the assets under management, more than likely it's destructive NAV because their option strategy is not working out. The market is not cooperating with them. These are some of your risk factors: NAV destruction, 100% ROC distribution, and amplified downside. Closure risk, as I said, it's only $19 million under assets under management. Liquidity risk, it's not a whole lot of trading. So if you do decide to buy this, you need to use limit orders. Concentration risk, no large caps. You're not looking at, these are not blue chip stocks. These are small and mid cap stocks that are very, very volatile. Manager risk, the fund is new and advised by RecShare. So if you don't, if something happens to that manager, because it's so actively managed, it depends. Like this fund rises or falls with the fund manager. And it's tax inefficiency. I'm sorry, that's a typo. It ought to be tax efficient because it's tax inefficient to itself because it's high turnover because they're buying and selling and changing stuff every 7 days. But it is tax efficient to you because so much of it is return of capital, and that is until you decide to sell. So here are some competitors. There's ULTI, there's ULTY, QYLD, JEPI, XYLD, and JEPQ. And I just wanted to show the difference into how they make their money. Most of these are uh, systematic ETFs that write over a portion of it's pegged to an index and it writes over a portion of its portfolio to generate the income. This is not pegged to a it's not pegged to an index. It is the 20 most volatile. I don't know if there's an index for that, but there's the 20 most volatile stocks every week, right? That is what it's pegged to. It's not writing over 75%. It's not writing over 25%. It's writing over its entire portfolio. It's putting iron condor strangles with wings on everything. That is what it's doing. And seriously, that is what it's doing for every position that it owns. All right, so this may be appropriate for sophisticated traders who understand option mechanics and want to leverage short volatility exposure to speculative stocks, investors who believe specific volatile stocks will trade sideways within a narrow range. As I said, they're putting iron condors, they're putting call credit spreads and put credit spreads on every position they own, so they need it to stay range bound. The market cannot go on a tear. Tax loss harvesting candidates seeking to realize capital losses, speculative satellite positions for investors who fully understand the risk. Who is not appropriate for is income seeking investors who need sustainable cash flow, retirees or anyone dependent on distributions for living expenses, conservative or moderate risk investors, poor portfolio allocation in any risk profile, buy and hold investors, anyone who cannot afford to lose 50% of their investment. So this is not for you if you are done working and you don't have a high appetite for risk. Just going over the verdict one more time, it is extremely, extremely risky. It is extremely risky, this fund, because its price appreciation is nil. It's nil. It has dropped 41%. So some of its observed strengths are it's an innovative strategy. It is sort of like it's sort of like KYLD. They're using all the options to do stuff, but this one has a more systematic approach to its option selection. But it is a novel approach. The weekly distributions are fantastic. The very high yield is fantastic. Uh, long puts and calls wings limit catastrophic loss on individual positions. No, it doesn't. It does put them on there, but it doesn't limit your risk so much as that you won't get destroyed. Now, something I should have mentioned, this fund does use leverage. It is a selective leverage, but it does use some leverage in order to get these yields. So when it goes up, you're going to make a decent amount of money, but when it goes down, you're going to go down hard, two times gravity. Um, so here's a quick reference guide. If you're thinking about this option, look at this chart. Look at it long and hard. ULTI is speculative. It has a high yield, but it has a high expense ratio, low assets under management. It distributes weekly. Um, it's effectively leveraged at 1.8 to 2%. It's very young and it's dropped 41% since inception. So be aware of this before you get in. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how I plan to use this, if I plan to use this ETF and how I plan to use this ETF. I don't have the most mid and small cap exposure in my income portfolio. I have VOT and PSC in my long exposure in my long portfolio to get exposure to small and mid caps, but I don't really have it in my income portfolio. And because of the way AI is booming and like the powers that are recently unlocked with OpenClaw, I don't know, this isn't a tech channel, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but if a small business gets a hold of OpenClaw, it can automate so much of that business's work. Productivity will go through the roof. And I do believe that small and mid cap stocks are positioned to benefit greatly from this, from AI being able to use real world tools. So I do want to get in on that on the income side. I may choose the NEOS fund to do that. I forgot the name of the fund. I may choose them to do it, but ULTI is a very interesting fund. As a DGen investor, sometimes as a sometime DGen investor, it's very attractive to me, but that yield is so high, and I have seen the horror stories of people who got in on those yield max funds, ULTY, and all the rest of them, and watched their fund go down, the price go down to $5, and then reverse splits happen. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. I may do an update in another 3 months to see how it behaves. But for now, it's a pass for me. I'm going to keep an eye on it, but I will not be investing in it. If you are going to invest in it, please let me know and tell me how much you're planning on putting in there, and how you're going to use it in your portfolio. With that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. You guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and leave your questions in the comment. God bless, and you guys have a beautiful day.